Okay, so I love when my husband brings me flowers. Of course, for the obvious reasons, because they're so beautiful when they're in bloom. However, rose petals are wonderful in spells and rejuvenation, spiritual baths. You can put them into your bath water. Now, you would want to make sure that your roses or the flowers that you're clipping, that they have not been grown with any pesticides. Now, I will say if you've gotten these from a um, a flower shop, it depends, because there's a lot of flower shops that have really beautiful organic flowers. But you would want to make sure that the flowers that you got were organic, that they weren't filled with pesticides while they were grown, because you would not want to add these into, let's say, a food spell. You wouldn't want to do that. You're only using these roses or any of your flower clippings for, let's just say, for a bath, maybe, and it just depends, again, where they were grown, and definitely for incense. So you wait till these dry, and I would break these apart and literally crush them in your mortar, your mortar, and grind them down so that now you have a nice um, incense, or let's just say a grounded powder, to put over your charcoals. And this could be, depending on the color, that you would be doing a love spell for yourself, or for someone else. But it wouldn't be, let's just say, a love spell to bind somebody. Well, I'm sure you could, so I'm not going to say it can't be, but I'm going to say it's best not to. I want to give that as a precursor, as a warning. It's best not to use them to bind anyone, because that in itself has really, really um, heavy. I can't even think of the word. Just the responsibility of that is intense, and you really don't know what you're going to get when you end up binding somebody like that. I've seen it come out really bad for other people, and I'm just glad I'm not, particular to do it for people. But yeah, anyway, you might be binding somebody that you don't want to be bound to, and so then it takes just as much concentration and effort, even more so, to separate yourself from someone that maybe really isn't good for you, right? Maybe it could be an abusive relationship or something like that. So, anyways, be very discerning when you are using your flowers or rose petals. Now, these are real roses, gorgeous. You saw them on the stem and I was clipping them off. So I'm going to just pull that up close so you can see it. They're beautiful. And they are almost dried, but I had to wait. Um, there was 12 of them. I had to wait until they were almost dehydrated. There was still water in the bottom, and it was filled up. The water was up here. So just about when it got around here at the bottom, maybe about an inch of water, then they were dry enough for me to clip them. About maybe 4 or 5 days ago, they were still too soft at the tip. So I wait. Sometimes I don't even use scissors. That's how I really know they're ready, because I can just come to each one and pop them off, and they're just fine. Now, I used to put these in a little bagging. But what I found is that there's still moisture in the rose petal, because they're succulent, they're beautiful, right? But they hold their own, each petal holds its water, so that as it blooms, then it's hydrated, it's nurturing, it's nourished. So when you put them in a Ziploc bag, which is what I discovered, is that when you seal it, you cut off the air, but there's still moisture. So you'll come back in a week and they'll be molded. So you still want to leave them out, maybe on a basket on the table, or you can put them on your altar if you want, but don't seal them. You want them to completely dry out. And this will give you some wonderful, even if you just keep them in their shape and you don't crush them, like, let's say, like this one, right? That one's gorgeous. Then, then you have these beautiful shaped rose petals and rose buds inside a bowl on, like I said, on your altar or on a decorative table. So anyways, and then also be discerning on what color you'd like to use. These were white. You can use your red for passion and love. You could find blue roses. I have some blue roses that are absolutely gorgeous, so I'm going to show you those right here. So these were some blue ones that my husband got me, and they have been sitting in I'm really not wanting to pop them. So let me see. I have one, two, three, four, five, six. So, and they have like these sparkles on them, and they were, I mean, they glistened when they were in bloom. And I let the water completely evaporate, and I did nothing to them. And they're just like this. And you know, to be quite frank with you, I don't want to pop them and then add them into the collection. I think just the way they look and the leaves that were attached to them, they're all dried out. But it has its own look. It has its own style. So therefore, I've left those alone. And you can do that. Some people take them out and hang them upside down, whatever you want to do. I just leave them in the vase. The vase ends up looking, you know, like it's been used, you see. And I guess I don't mind that either because it has its own look and it has its own, like it looks lived in for that. Now, some people say, well, I would like a nice clean vase and for it to be really decorative. And maybe so, but you know, there's nothing stopping me from putting, let's just say, another beautiful cloth around it and tying it with a bow, or like a white lace or something. So I'm not so concerned because I really don't want to disturb those flowers. Like they're so dry that at any time, if I were to just move them, they could, you know, the bud will snap off the stem. So I like them like this. There you go. I like them like this, and I'll leave them like this. But you can see where there were sparkles on them. And the sparkles, when they were in bloom and they were fresh, were, oh my gosh, they were phenomenal. There were so many sparkles. There were sparkles everywhere. Sparkles on the flowers, sparkles on the table. It was gorgeous. So, so, you know, just depending on the type of flower and to know your colors, like you can buy roses and then begin to do roses that are connected to the chakra. So you've got your red roses, and that's your root chakra. You've got your yellow and your orange, which is your sacral and your creative center, right? So your creative and then your intuitive center is yellow. And then you have green for the heart. For healing, yes, they are green roses, just like I have my blue ones. Those were dyed that way. And then let me think what else. There's purple roses, and then you have your white roses, and that can be for your seventh and eighth chakra, right? So, oh, you have your throat chakra, which is your light blue. So you can get your roses or your flowers. It doesn't have to be rose. Your flowers to match the chakra system. And then you can find an incense or an oil and sprinkle on the flower petals. And because they're organic, they're going to hold the oil, you know. And so this is almost like your potpourri, your spiritual connection to potpourri, and have that in there. You can put other types of leaves or bark in there. Cedar chips, I think that would be the best. Cedar chips in there, it'll keep it from attracting bugs or anything like that. Mine don't attract bugs, but I'm here in California, in a particular area that does not do that. But you could be in a woodsy area or just a humid area, and it might attract bugs. So cedar chips, wood chips are really good for that. And so you can throw them in the basket, and with a little bit of the oil, and call it a day. So you've got your beautiful ritual flowers. Well, anyways, that's what I wanted to share today. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back. Ashe. This is